Hello guys, welcome to Legacy IAS. So in this lecture, we will be discussing how to score those additional marks in your upcoming prelims paper, that is tomorrow. So this lecture is going to be short and sweet, and in small time we'll try to understand the basics and the details of attempting prelims paper so that you can get those additional marks which will get you selected for mains examination. So without any further ado, let's get started. So first things first, the basics of attempting the prelims paper. Now let me tell you a few things before we move on to that. Is first, if you have been a serious aspirant, then the entire thing which we will be doing would be amazingly suited for you. If not, you may find it a bit difficult. So I'm hoping that every one of you have given your best. A serious aspirant means who has done as best as they could possibly do. Now that's one thing. Second is, there are a few things which I would keep telling you, which you can apply to yourself based on the nature of an aspirant you are. I'll keep on telling those things whenever we come across them. The other things, it is general, can be applied by any kind of aspirant. Okay, so let's get started. The basic of attempting the paper. First is last minute revision. What do you do? Do you close your book on the eve of the examination and do not worry about it and directly go next day and give the exam? That is case one. You can do that. A lot of people do that. That helps them keep calm and not be anxious with respect to the examination, not worry about it. But is this the only way? No, not necessarily. Those who feel comfortable with this can do this. Some others would be someone like me who would keep studying till the time they enter the examination hall. Just before entering, they would then keep everything aside and then enter. Till that time they will study. Now you can do this as well. Now the benefit of the first case is that you are calm, controlled, and your focus and concentration level would be high. Then why to do this? Because you would, if someone doesn't do that, they may feel anxious that, oh, I have closed the book, I'm not doing anything, others would be studying. All those thoughts come, and psychologically it would have a negative impact on you. So what you can do is you can keep studying, and what you can do is you can study the things which you generally forget, the notes that you have made, like the Government of India Act, the constitutional bodies, all these things which you can forget or which you have to specifically remember. You can try to do those things, those kind of things, right? So that the moment you are looking at the paper and anything from that is there, it is very fresh in your mind. So that kind of thing. So any of the two methods you can follow, whichever suits you. Now the next question is, how many questions are enough? Now some people answer 90 plus questions and clear. Some people answer 80, 75 questions and they still clear. So the very basic thing here is, do not have any prejudice of the number of questions you should be solving. But of course, based on the trend, we will see how many can actually we think of doing. So let me help you understand. First thing also is, why I'm saying not to be prejudiced, because the paper can be different. Because let's say, for example, in 2016 the cutoff was 116.67 was the cutoff. Now I scored 130, a good number of marks above the cutoff, by solving 80 questions. A lot of others have also cleared that year by solving 90 plus. So now these people may be relying more on guesses, so they have to solve a bit more. I relied on efficiency, so solved a bit less and still got it, right? So either the aspirant can be good at guessing or better at efficiency, or can be better at both. So there would be a mix of number of questions you are required to solve to get that, right? There's no one fixed number which is required. Anything which is mathematically possible, so it will lie in that range to clear the exam. Now having said that, now this is a very high number if you consider the previous 2023 paper, because the cutoff went way below. So in 2023 this would be, astronomical figure, and you would not even reach that. So the idea is that only the number of questions you are attempting differs based on the aspirant you are. It differs based on the type of paper that is. So take it on its merit should be the mantra, right? But please understand, if you say that, sir, if that is the case, then can I solve 40 and clear? No, then it will not happen, boss. Then in 40 out of 40 in last year, if you are solving all 40, then all of them have to be correct for you to clear the exam, or else you will not. So there has to be a bare minimum, of course, but that variation would be depending upon the difficulty level of the paper. Now, a serious aspirant would be able to understand the difficulty level of the paper. If you are not serious, you've not studied, you will find everything difficult and you will feel the entire paper is difficult. A serious aspirant would know it's easy, it's difficult, it's moderate, what it is. So take it with a pinch of salt based on its merit. Now, very important thing. Now, these are the things which will matter a lot for these additional marks that we are talking about. First things first, never put pen to paper. A lot of people tell you that, the moment you go look at the question paper, you see the question, you know the answer, tick it. No, they ask you to fill the bubble. No, don't do that. Why to do it? Don't do it. I'll tell you why. Because it could be a silly mistake. You could be attracted, tempted. At the same time, when you don't do it, then how to go about it? Let me tell you. So, this is a principle which everyone should follow, is what I would say. There can still be exceptions, but you should follow is what I would advise. What happens is, when I look at question number 1, okay, I looked at question number 1, I said, okay, I think the answer would be A. Okay, question number 2, I think the answer would be C. Question number 3, I think it can be A or D. Question number 4th, I don't know. Question number 5th, I think it's C. When I'm doing this in rough with pencil, don't even take a pen in your hand, just keep pencil in your hand. And I'm doing all this. When I do this, once I've done for the question number 1 and I'm going on to other questions and doing it for all the 100 questions, it would require around 1 hour to do that. What happens is, when you move on to question 5th, voluntarily, your voluntary or conscious mind is looking for answer for question number 5th, but your subconscious mind is still processing all these information as well, whether they are correct or not, have you made any silly mistake or not, you did not know the answer, so does the mind know something about it? The subconscious mind, which is the more powerful mind, is actually working to give you the answer which you have not got, to make sure you have not made any silly mistake, to give you what is the actual answer between the two. All this is processing in your head, right? So with respect to, if you would have marked it, then with respect to any silly mistakes have you done or not will not be required to be processed. The mind will not process it, and even if it processes, you will not be able to change it. That is why do not put pen to paper. Do it like this for the entire 100 questions, which would be done in 1 hour. Once that is done, then come back. Look at the first question again, right from the beginning, and see if you are getting the same answer as you were getting previously. And then in the second iteration, you can think of marking the answers. Okay, and you would realize earlier which you were thinking is A, now you think it is C. You are confused. That itself means you were not sure at the first time. It was just the attempt. Avoid your silly mistakes. Your silly mistakes you will avoid. Getting attracted to the questions or options you will avoid. You will also avoid getting trapped into UPSC traps which are there, which we will see. And at times which of the things are not correct or incorrect. Any kind of these things would also pass 2 times from your eyes, so you will be less prone to get trapped by this. Now, the question of how to approach the paper is also actually solved. The approach should be like that only. Don't put pen to paper. So you, in the first iteration, just with the help of the pencil in the rough area or somewhere, just mark the answers, know the answers, and then in the second iteration only you should think of circling the bubble. Now, further to help in getting more marks is the different types of questions now we will see and how we can approach them or answer them. First thing first is the extreme statement. Whenever you come across any extreme statement, more often than not, they would be wrong. I will always use this phrase, more often than not. So generally it would be helpful when you are left with 2 options. So then apply this logic of more often than not. At times you can directly get the answer also from that. So this is a question, what is our unique about Kharai camel, a breed found in India? So it is capable of swimming up to the 3 kilometers. A very specific data is given. We may not know it. It survives by grazing on mangroves. We may not know it. Now the statement 3 says it lives in the world and cannot be domesticated. Now man has basically domesticated a tiger, lion, cheetah. So do you mean to say camels cannot be domesticated? It is such kind of an animal which cannot. Camel itself is a domestic animal actually. They have just played on the fact that if it is Kharai camel, you may be confused. But what to confuse? And they are saying it cannot be, no matter what, it cannot be domesticated. So that is an extreme statement. The moment you get it's an extreme statement, these options are gone and the only option left is 1 and 2 only. Right? Similar kind of an extreme statement question was there in 2014, I think as well, wherein they asked this particular species of plant is found abundantly throughout India. Now just imagine, India has such a diverse climate. Look at the Thar Desert, look at Himalayas. You mean to say that plant is available in Thar Desert also, in Himalaya also, and not just present, because it can be present. They are also saying abundantly, in huge amount. So the statement is extreme, which is wrong. Rest you don't have to know, right? Now let's come on to the opposite or conflicting statements. When you have exact opposite statements, you have 4 options, 2 of them are opposite, exactly opposite. More often than not, one of them would be correct. Let's look at with the help of the question with reference to inflation in India, which of the these are UPSC questions. Whatever we are doing are actual UPSC questions. All right. So what this question says, with reference to inflation in India, which of the following statements is correct? Option 1 is controlling the inflation in India is the responsibility of the government only. Now here UPSC has given you a lot of options to get the right answer. Of the government only, they are saying, and here they say the Reserve Bank of India has no role in controlling the inflation. See, if this statement would have been correct, then this statement would have also been correct. So can 2 statements be correct? No, right? So both of them would actually be wrong. This also as a hint by UPSC. Further, decreased money circulation helps in controlling inflation. And then they say increased money circulation helps in controlling inflation. So the answer would be either of the 2. Why? Because they are absolutely, these are conflicting statements. If this is the case, then this will also be the case. So both of them would become right, and that is not possible. So it's conflicting in nature. Here they are opposite. When they are opposite, one of them would be actually correct. So what would be the correct answer? Increased money supply circulation will help in controlling inflation. Sorry, they are asking controlling inflation. No, so increased money supply will not help in controlling inflation. It is decreased money supply. Sorry, decreased money circulation helps in controlling the inflation. So the correct answer would be C. How did we reach here? These 2 are opposite. One of them will be correct, right? So the correct answer is C. Now again look at the conflicting statement. Here the conflicting statement is with reference to the Asian Infrastructure Investment Bank. Consider the following statement. AIIB has more than 80 members. India is the largest shareholder. AIIB does not have any members outside of Asia. Now these 2 statements, look at that. Now Asia has less than 50 members. So when Asia has less than 50 members and it says AIIB does not have any members from outside Asia, then this statement would be wrong. AIIB has more than 80 member nations. That means any option which contains this as well as this, both the statement together cannot be right. How many options are there like that? This and this, they are eliminated. And we are left with only A and B. Now, let's look at this statement. India is the largest shareholder. Now, if you just know that Asia Infrastructure Investment Bank consists of China, also India will not be the largest shareholder. And a serious aspirant should know that if India would have been the largest shareholder, you would have somewhere or the other studied, if you would have studied AIIB. So statement 2 would be wrong, hence this is wrong, hence the correct answer is A, 1 only. Now, let's move on to the next question. Names and abbreviation. Now here the name Swayam is given. Swayam, an initiative of the government, aims at what? Now Swayam in Hindi means doing things on your own, helping your own self. And look what UPSC does to trap you. It gives the very first option as promoting the self-help groups in rural areas. So anyone who knows the meaning of Swayam would think, oh, Swayam, self-help group, tick. And the wrong answer is the very first answer. So do not get attracted. Have a principle in yourself that don't eliminate options just based on the hunch or attraction to a particular option. It should be eliminated only based on certain fact or certain proper logic. And if you are left with 2 options only, then solve the question. If you are left with all 4 or 3 of the options just based on hunch, you are choosing one, Don't do that. It has to be based on facts, understanding, implementation, or logical reasoning. So what the correct answer actually is providing affordable and quality education to the citizens for free. It is actually a portal which provides you free education. So don't go by such name. But I would also say to go by the name of the scheme. Now here, Rashtriya Garima Abhiyan is a national campaign to what? Rehabilitation of homeless and destitute persons, release the sex workers from their practice, eradicate the practice of manual scavengers, release the bonded labor from their bondage. Now, Garima means prestige. Now, prestige is very closely related. You can very closely relate prestige with manual scavengers as well as sex workers. So, you can deduce these two options. Right? Here you can use that logic. And then think of yourself, is there any scheme at national level you have ever heard of with respect to sex workers? No. Then out of these two, manual scavenger would be the right answer. Now the question is, sir, you asked not to go by the name here, and you asked to go by the name here. Why? Because please understand, this is not a name, this is not a complete name, this is just an abbreviation, meaning it is a short form for something. So when it is a short form for something, do not exactly be attracted by the exact definition or meaning of it. But here it is not a short form, so here you can utilize the meaning of the name. Same we will do it here. What is Greased Lightning GL-10 recently seen in news? Now it is saying reusable rocket designed by ISRO, space observatory launched by China. Now India and China generally give indigenous names. So when India and China give indigenous names, is this an indigenous name for a country like China or India? No. And if it would have been by India, you would have already known. So now it can be either this or this. Now lightning is closely related to what? Is it related to solar power or electric plane? Electric plane. So the correct answer is option A, electric plane tested by NASA. Now let's move on to questions based on subjects. So let's start with the Indian economy. Okay. Now, in Indian economy questions, whenever you come across, let's say, a statement which says this may lead to that, this may lead to this. So the word may in Indian economy will more often than not be correct. And when in Indian economy the question says necessarily, meaning this has to happen, then to mark this statement correct, be very sure, because more often than not it would be incorrect. Right? So am I asking you to blindly mark this correct and blindly mark this incorrect? Absolutely not. When you are left with two options, you have to choose, then you follow this. At the same time, this will help you to think twice before doing something opposite to this. So be very sure. Now, this question says a rise in the general level of prices may be caused by, maybe. The moment they have said maybe, then a lot of things can actually cause that. If they would have said it would necessarily be caused by, then you would have been required to think before marking the statements correct, right? So an increase in the money supply, yes, that would lead to inflation. Decrease in the aggregate level of output, yes. Increase in the effective demand, yes. All options are correct, right? All options are correct. Now, if they would have said it would necessarily lead to inflation, then a decrease in the aggregate level of output need not necessarily lead to inflation, because it is possible that the demand has fallen down by a higher amount, right? Then that statement would be wrong. So that is the difference between necessarily and maybe. Please keep that in mind. Now, here also, when the Reserve Bank of India reduces the statutory liquidity ratio, that is SLR, by 50 basis points, which of the following is likely to happen, right? India's GDP growth rate increases drastically just by reducing 50 basis point. How is that possible? Economy doesn't, such a big economy doesn't suddenly drastically increase. UPSC is giving you a hint that this statement is wrong. Yeah, here also they have drastically. It may drastically reduce the liquidity of the banking system. Again, because it is saying may, we may say yes, but then the drastically word makes it wrong. Foreign institutional investors may bring more capital into our country. So this is wrong, this is wrong. Scheduled commercial banks may cut their lending rates. So this is the more likely option. By these use of word drastically, we eradicated these options, we are left with 2. So when the Reserve Bank of India has reduced the statutory liquidity ratio by 50 basis points, that means what? Now more money is available by the banks, scheduled commercial banks. So scheduled commercial banks may cut their lending rate, they need not necessarily do it. Okay. Now coming on to science and tech questions, here also if they talk about a possibility of something in science and tech, then more often than not that has to be right. And if I talk about a future technology being able to do something, that would be right. If I say, you know, in future this XYZ thing may be possible, yes, who knows? By today's logic we are seeing it is not, but 1 second later a logic could be developed which says yes, it's possible. So whenever we say in future this may be possible, yes, it would be possible, it may be possible. In the same manner, just look at this question. With reference to solar water pumps, consider the following statements. Solar power can be used for running surface pumps. Yes, it can be used. But here they are saying and not for submersible pumps. Submersible pumps means pumps which are submerged underwater. So why will it not be used? And to say that it cannot be used, you have to do your thorough research. Maybe somewhere in the world, someone is using it. So this would be wrong. To deny is very difficult in science and technology. Same goes here. Solar pumps can be used for running centrifugal pumps and not for the ones with piston. Not for the ones with piston. Why not? Of course, yes. So this is wrong. This is wrong. The correct answer would be neither 1 nor 2. Now coming on to ancient and medieval history. Now see, you can see only this part of the board, right? Now, if I ask you that is there a remote over here in this room? You cannot be sure. You cannot deny. It can be. But the moment I, let's say, show you the remote, then you can be certain, yes, remote is there. That is exactly what happens in ancient and medieval history. How do we get to know? By digging, by the remains, by the scriptures, by the writings, by the documents. All those things help us to understand. Harappan civilization also, so many things we know till now, maybe afterwards we know something more. So can I say that in Harappan civilization this did not existed at all? I cannot say. Tomorrow if I dig and find something, it may change it. I can say that based on the present available knowledge, it is not there. That I can say. But the moment the statement is saying that this is not there only, this was not there only, then that statement would be wrong. Right? So for ancient and medieval history to deny something with surety is a near impossibility. Based on that, let's solve this question. Regarding the taxation system of Krishnadev Raya, the ruler of Jayanagar, consider the following statements. The tax rate on land was fixed depending upon the quality of the land. Okay, this is factual. Private owners of workshops paid an industries tax. Now, if the paper setter would not have got any evidence of this being present, this statement would have not come, because even if the evidence was not there, it is very impossible to deny, because it's possible it would have been there, it's just that we don't have the evidence. So any kind of proof or evidencing statement which is coming, they are generally correct in ancient and medieval history. So private owners of workshops paid an industries tax, yes. So when option 2 is correct, this becomes wrong, this becomes wrong, we are left with B and C. So now you have to take a call. This logic has helped you reach 2 options. Now you have to take a call. So when you have to take a call, think of Jayanagar Empire. What was it like? It was a huge, magnanimous, rich, amazing empire. So, and Krishnadev Raya, an amazing ruler. So of course, Krishnadev Raya would rule with justice and with a proper approach. And doesn't it make sense that the tax rate of land fixed depending upon the quality of the land, so that better the quality, more the tax? It makes sense. So he is a sensible ruler, he was a sensible ruler, will do sensible thing in an amazing empire. So hence, instead of saying this would to be wrong, you can mark that to be correct, because you have to choose one now, right? Hence both 1 and 2 are correct. So the correct answer here is C. So guys, if you follow these things which I have been telling you, I have told you, for ancient medieval history, economics, science and tech, and the extreme statements, the conflicting statements, and the very first part with respect to how to approach the paper, trust me, you will get those additional marks, and that will be the game changer and the criteria for you to get selected for mains. All right. So I, on behalf of Legacy IAS team, wish you all the very best of luck and all the best for tomorrow's UPSC Civil Services Prelims examination. Thank you.